So I had worked with John Bell on a TV series called The Gods of Wheat Street in 2012. And when I read that script at the time, I was like, oh, who wrote this? Because I assumed a woman had written it, because all the female roles were like excellent. And I had a great time with John. And since then, we've sort of just maintained contact. And I adore his work and his work ethic and his messaging. And so Maine and I actually did the short film in 2020, which was, I think, a really sophisticated springboard into the feature. And the script, the reason I think, for me personally, the reason I'm drawn to it is John's writing. Genre, Indigenous people in Australia getting to, have dip their toe into the genre pool for the first time was really exciting. And of course, the allegory, the messaging, and the underlying story that addresses our shameful and tragic history in Australia, which is the stolen generations.
I think that was pretty good. But I think with Shari, I'd known John's work from Gods of Wheat Street, and I'd known that TV series, and I'd wanted to work with him. And so when the idea of the short, which was like a proof of concept for the film, it was the easiest thing to jump on board with. And from there, once it got, the money for the feature, it was a no-brainer. And as Shari said, the genre really... it was good to play in that area, and my character particularly is almost like a bit of a trope character, and it was fun playing that character, I think. And Shari and I had known each other for 16 years, so it was a fun thing to work together on the project, and it was good writing as well.
Yeah, so I guess in a nutshell, Stolen Generations is an extremely hurtful part of Australia's history that's still hurtful today for the surviving members and their families. It was a policy that began in the mid-1800s and wasn't really abolished until 1970s. So it was, well over 100 years. And the theory was if we take children away who have a white parent, as well as an Aboriginal parent, and we remove them from their Aboriginal parent and their community, then they will be white and they will assimilate easier, and we can breed the black out of them easily. Basically, is really kind of the horrible way to put it, and sadly today it's still a practice that is happening. Assimilation is always the goal for the Australian government when it comes to Aboriginal people, but we resist and persist. But it happens today in much more legal ways and much more sort of, acceptable ways. But that's the sad source material for John. And I know very recently John himself had said that, since writing the film, since making the film, he was at the hospital with his grandchildren being born, and he and his wife were there because their fear of authorities, somebody at the hospital reporting something about an Aboriginal child would mean that his grandchild is taken away. So it's a trauma that still runs very, very deep in Aboriginal people and Aboriginal communities today.
I don't remember having rehearsal or prep. It was pretty much just rock up on that day kind of vibe, I think. I think there was discussion about certain scenes, but nothing too far into... I think it was more like what we were going to get on the day and the energy that was between us actors and John. And I think that was his kind of almost instinctual way of directing, I find, in the when we were putting the film together. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was... it was quite a challenge because we can talk about the source material for the movie, but at the end of the day it is still a genre film, and you're being asked as an actor to descend into madness, and you kind of have to forget that you're trying to represent a whole nation's history and just kind of chart your script bit by bit and kind of how mad was I yesterday? And I actually do really daggy things like a little emotional, like a little graph. And sometimes it's like you're off the page, off the scale. There were a couple of days where it was off the scale, or it's kind of like acting by numbers almost. Like, okay, I'm probably at a 10 now. This is a 10. This feels like a 10 scene, which isn't always, it's not useful for some people, but it was really useful for me, I guess, in that way. And John was incredible at guiding me the whole way and just reminding. And it's why we have wonderful people like Continuity going, not too much today, Shari.
Something I want to add to all the questions you've asked so far is that, like, this is a really important story that needs to be told, but what I loved when I read the script was the vehicle in which it was told. Like, it's really entertaining, and it's kind of like, the here comes the aeroplane for some really important information. I was very much a supporting role in this, so I didn't have to do much charting, but yeah, I think I always rely on the director and the scriptie mercifully. I'm just like, catch me.
I would say for me, it was working with Jardina, the 7-year-old, who actually steals every scene. I remember Maine and I watching the monitors and like watching and kind of going, oh, you know what, don't even worry about when you're on screen with her because no one's watching you. This
The
kid.
camera's not on you in this take. Don't worry about it.
So watching this young little, 7-year-old, I think she was 7 at the time, just blossom and be really proud of her work and be excited about being an actor because, it's only recently that Aboriginal people, that's been it's only been the last couple of decades that's something that we can do. So to see her kind of grow into herself like that was really satisfying for me. Yeah. Yeah, she's John Bell's granddaughter. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's a great opportunity for John particularly, and I think for us as well, being on this platform and having an Indigenous Australian film here, and I think it's the only Australian feature at this year. So no, I think we're representing, and we're here to tell the story, and hopefully it opens more doors for more filmmakers through the pipeline. Genre, I think.
That's where it's at the moment. That's where the exciting stuff's happening. It's I think the future though is like letting us make more, letting us stuff up more than once. Historically we're only allowed to make kind of one grand entrance, and if we get it wrong, we don't get another chance. I think that for me, the exciting version of the future is where Aboriginal people get to be a bit mediocre as well, actually, instead of always striving for excellence.
And violent and villains, and the mythical Indigenous person, I think, is a trope that is very tired.